Okay, good morning. It is Thursday, the 28th of January, and we will continue our work on Greek myths today. It's lesson 4 in the week. We're going to begin with reminding ourselves about adverbs or adverbials of time, and hopefully you'll be able to access this PowerPoint here, where it's an interactive PowerPoint, so it'll be asking questions, and I hope that if it is saved correctly and if your computer will play, it will allow you to actually answer the questions at home. It will look a bit like this. You'll be asked a question, for example, which adverb would you add to the sentence to show when something happens? We have a blank space, we need to choose one of these words. Now when you do it, I'm hoping that if you click on the word that you think it would be, that it will then tell you whether you've got a right or wrong answer. If it doesn't work like that, for whatever reason, please don't worry too much about it. Just see if you can still scroll through the pages and look at the questions and the answers that go with it. It's not a problem if it doesn't do the whole interactive yes, no, you're correct, you're not correct thing. So for this one, something I went clothes shopping with my mum. Would it be weekly, I went clothes shopping with my mum? Tomorrow, I went clothes shopping with my mum. They don't sound right, do they? We've got a past tense on that verb went. So it must be something that's happened before. Yearly, I went clothes shopping. No, that suggests that I do it every year. Yesterday, I went clothes shopping with my mum. That makes sense. It's past tense. Yesterday happened in the past tense. It makes sense. So when you click on that answer, in your mode, I'm hoping it will then say correct. If it doesn't, then just flick through the pages. You would see that the next page is just the slides that would come up to tell you whether you're correct or not. You might, however, be able to just whiz through those until you get to the next question and ask yourself that. Okay, so hopefully you can still improve your learning about adverbs of time using that quiz. Back to our teaching slide. So once you've done that as a starter, we are going to look at a different story, Perseus and the Gorgon. Now this is actually Perseus and Medusa. I read the story to you yesterday. It was saved on the teaching slides. So what I want you to do is to think about how this is different to the version we read yesterday. So same story. We've already talked about how myths, because they're oral stories, they change in time, they change and get embellished, and the heroes become braver and the gods become meaner. All sorts of details change, little facts change. So let's read through this, see how it is different from the version that we read yesterday. Now I'm hoping to be able to access my version of this. Let me see if I can. Hopefully, here we go. Yes, I can. So if I bring this one up, here we go. Perseus and the Gorgons. So you should have this saved on the website today. And if we go to the first page, Perseus was the son of the mortal Danae and Zeus, the king of the gods. Danae's father, Acrisius, had a dream where he saw himself being killed by an adult Perseus. Acrisius put Danae and the baby Perseus in a wooden chest and cast them out to sea. He hoped never to see them again. The chest, which is just like a big box, washed up on the island of Seriphos, which was ruled by King Polydectes. None of this was in the story we read about with Perseus yesterday. So you can see that already this is sort of giving us the beginnings of Perseus and how he came to be, if you like. We didn't have this in our story yesterday. Over the years, King Polydectes fell in love with Danae and wanted to marry her. Danae didn't like this idea. Perseus was grown up by now. King Polydectes decided he needed to get rid of him. Ah, that sounds familiar. We started our story yesterday by learning about an evil king who ruled his land, by learning about the king who wanted to marry Perseus's mother. a king who decided to set a quest so dangerous that he knew that Perseus wouldn't be able to survive. That's where we've got to now. So King Polydectes decided he needed to get rid of Perseus. Polydectes told Perseus to bring back the head of Medusa as a wedding present. Medusa was one of the monstrous Gorgons. She had snakes for hair, the body of a lion, and her gaze could turn people into stone. She looks pretty formidable here. Look at the snakes on her head. Perseus didn't even know where to start to look for the Gorgons. He got lost and he called on the gods for help. The goddess Athena appeared. She showed him where the Grae, the sisters of the Gorgons, lived. Athena gave Perseus some magical winged sandals, the helmet of Hades, a special satchel, which is a bag, a sharp metal sickle, which is this thing here. It's like a blade, like a sort of chopping instrument, and a mirrored shield. The Grae were 3 old women. They were blind and they shared one magical eye between them. Perseus went and stole the Grae's eye. He wouldn't give it back to the women until they told him where he could find the Gorgons. Perseus used the magical winged sandals to fly to the island where the Gorgons lived. He found where they were sleeping. Perseus used Athena's shield as a mirror. He chopped off the head of Medusa with the sickle, and he put the head inside the satchel. The other Gorgons woke up and chased Perseus, but he escaped by putting on the helmet of Hades. The helmet made Perseus invisible. On his way back home, Perseus rescued the beautiful maiden Andromeda from a terrible sea monster. I don't think we had any of this detail in our story yesterday. Perseus arrived back home just as King Polydectes was about to marry Danae. Polydectes asked to see his wedding present. Perseus showed him the Gorgon's head, and Polydectes was instantly turned to stone. Danae was saved. Perseus married the beautiful Andromeda, the lady that he rescued, and he went on to rule his own kingdom, and he had many descendants, including the hero Heracles, or Hercules as he's sometimes known as. So you can see this is actually quite a different story to the one we read yesterday. Certainly the story we read yesterday is in this one, but this one has so many extra details to it. Try and think of all the bits in this story that we didn't learn about in yesterday's story. Okay, when you've done that, let's go back to our teaching slides. So thinking about how it's changed, how the story changes over the years. After that, I'm going to ask you to come back to thinking about those adverbs of time. Words like first, suddenly, later, after a while, a short time later, at the end of the day, finally. And I'm going to ask you to look at the cartoon strip that I've saved of the story of Perseus and the Gorgons. And I'm going to ask you to make a choice of what you do. There's 2 sheets saved. One of them looks like this. So we have cartoon pictures, and the story that matches each part of that, or each one of those pictures, is underneath. You could choose this, or you could choose the second page, where it has the pictures of the story, but blank boxes underneath. So if you wanted to challenge yourself today, you could retell the story of Perseus, reminding yourselves of the pictures and sequencing the story and putting it in your own words. That would be a challenge. It would be great for some of you to do that. But remember, the key objective for you to be thinking about today is adverbs of time. So for those of you who want to use the first sheet, you can do that. All I ask is that using your pen or pencil, you add an adverb or an adverbial of time to each sentence. So if we look at the beginning sentence, King Polydectes fell in love with Danae, but she didn't want to marry him. What would be an obvious adverb of time? Because this is our first picture, it would be an obvious thing to say something like first of all, or at first. So I'm going to write that in and show you what I want you to do. You just need to write in your adverb of time. So at first, comma, King Polydectes fell in love with Danae, but she didn't want to marry him. Next picture, King Polydectes decided to get rid of Perseus. He told Perseus to bring back the head of Medusa. So this is our next part of the sequence. What sort of time word, adverbial of time, could we use? We might want to say, after a while, King Polydectes decided to get rid of Perseus, or after some time, or before long, or a short while later. You will probably want to use the word then or next, and that's okay, but try not to use it on each one of these. Try to come up with some different phrases that you can use instead. A short while later, after that, soon after that, in the meantime. Try to think of all of those time words that you can add and write to the beginning of each of these sentences. That's your challenge for today. Okay, good luck with it. See how you get on. If you're not sure, go back to the previous page, take a look at some of the examples. First, suddenly, later, after a while, a short time later. Of course, there's many, many more that you can use. And some of them will be on that adverb of time quiz that I spoke to you about in the beginning. All right, good luck with it. Enjoy it. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.